Welcome to our YouTube channel, where we bring you the most critical and up-to-the-minute international news, dissecting the complex world of politics and global affairs. We aim to provide you with clear, concise, and fact-checked narratives that will keep you informed and engaged. Today we delve into the heart of Eastern Europe and the Middle East, exploring Slovakia's shift in foreign policy and the escalating tensions in the Gaza Strip. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth coverage. Now let's dive right in. In an unprecedented move, Slovakia, on October 26, declared an end to military aid supply to Kiev, becoming the first European nation to do so. The newly appointed Prime Minister, Robert Fico, made the announcement. He stated that the country would shift its focus towards providing humanitarian and civilian aid to Ukraine instead of military assistance. Henceforth, this will become the nation's official stance, terminating all weapons supplies to Ukraine. Fico urged the European Union to transition from being a weapons supplier to a promoter of peace. A month after Fico's election victory, which was based on his promise to increase social welfare, he and his government were officially inaugurated in a ceremony in Bratislava on October 25. During this transitional period, Fico's party negotiated the formation of a government with other parties, while military aid to Kiev was suspended. Slovakia, which is a NATO and European Union (EU) member, had been Ukraine's staunch ally after Russia launched military actions in February 2022. It was the initial country to supply Kiev with anti-aircraft weapons and welcome Ukrainian refugees. Prime Minister Fico expressed his wish for Slovakia, an East European country with a 5.4 million population, to keep its EU and NATO membership status. Fico's electoral promise was to stop military aid to Kiev and repair the relationship between Russia and the 27-member bloc. On another significant international news related to Gaza Strip's conflict, the region's tension continues to rise. The Samam Anquat Brigade, Hamas's armed faction, recently announced an attack on Haifa, an Israeli city, using R-160 missiles, marking the time the city, home to approximately 300,000 people, was targeted with R-160 missiles. Despite being in Hamas rockets' range, Haifa had not been targeted before. On October 25, Hamas declared that they had launched R-160 missiles at Haifa, Israel's third-largest city and an important port. The R-160 missiles, with a 160 kilometers range, are among Hamas's longest-range missiles. These missiles, which weigh about 150 kilograms, carry a substantial amount of propellant to secure their 160 kilometers range. The R-160, also known as the M-302 or B-302, is one of the largest missile types owned by armed groups in the Gaza Strip. Hamas asserts that can manufacture these missiles. Using the R-160 missiles, Hamas can target key sites deep within Israel. For the first time, Haifa has been hit with Hamas's long-range missiles. In retaliation, Israeli Defense Forces stated that an air raid siren went off in towns south of Haifa following a missile launch from the Gaza Strip. The missile exploded mid-air, and there have been no casualty reports yet. Currently, countries in the Middle East and the global community as a whole are still seeking ways to de-escalate the situation in Gaza. In the latest developments, U.S. President Joe Biden made statements regarding efforts to restrain the increasing conflict between Israel and Hamas during a joint press conference with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese at the White House. President Biden reaffirmed Washington's support for a two-state solution to allow Israelis and Palestinians to coexist peacefully in the future. He called on all relevant parties, regional leaders, and the world to push for a peaceful resolution to the long-standing conflict. On the same day, the U.S. Special Envoy for the Middle East, Barbara Lee, began a visit to the Middle East to consult with Washington's partners in the region in an effort to prevent further escalation of the conflict. However, in the first day back in session since Congressman M. Johnson replaced Kevin McCarthy as the new Speaker of the House, the U.S. House of Representatives took a firm stance against Hamas and expressed strong support for Israel. Specifically, with 42 unanimous votes, the House passed a resolution reaffirming Israel's right to self-defense. This was the first legal document passed in the House since it elected its new Speaker. Lawmakers from both parties in the bicameral Congress had previously raised a resolution supporting Israel after Hamas launched attacks on October 7. However, legislative activities were stalled after Speaker McCarthy was impeached, and it took 3 weeks for the House to elect a new leader. In a related development on October 25, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz affirmed Berlin's commitment to providing humanitarian access and aid to the people in Gaza. The German government called for the creation of conditions to allow humanitarian goods into Gaza in phases, as well as to facilitate UN personnel in delivering relief supplies to the people safely. Germany also supported the idea of establishing humanitarian windows or timeframes to enable the delivery of goods to the people. Meanwhile, Germany urged for the creation of conditions that would allow UN personnel to bring relief convoys into Gaza and distribute aid to the population. Regarding humanitarian efforts in Gaza, the International Red Crescent reported on October 25 that they had received a total of 41 transport planes carrying 864 tons of medical supplies, food, and emergency relief from various countries and international organizations to support the people in Gaza. This aid included contributions from the World Health Organization, UNICEF, the World Food Program, the International Red Cross, and countries such as Jordan, Iraq, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, Tunisia, Qatar, Venezuela, Brazil, Russia, Pakistan, India, and Algeria. Hamas's missile launch came shortly after Israel declared the destruction of over 400 targets of the Hamas armed group in Gaza. The Israeli Defense Forces had initiated a campaign to destroy underground tunnel systems used by Hamas. This development also followed a series of rocket launches from Syria into Israel. Israel responded by targeting military infrastructure and rocket launchers in Syria. The United Nations has called upon Israel and Hamas to create conditions that allow urgent humanitarian aid to enter Gaza without hindrance. At the same time, it emphasizes that the people of Palestine urgently require a volume of humanitarian goods 20 times greater than the current level. The UN Secretary-General on October 24 urged the protection of civilians and expressed concerns over serious violations of international humanitarian law in Gaza. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization, WHO, has also called for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire, enabling the safe transportation of food, medicines, and fuel into Gaza. Currently, all hospitals in Gaza have announced that they are running out of fuel to power their generators, rendering them unable to treat the injured and ill. That concludes our international news update for today. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye, and see you next time.